welcome back to Ask the Accountant podcast Pitstop. We are here still at the Festival of Accounting and Bookkeeping, and we are joined now by Philippa. Philippa, hello, welcome to Ask the Accountant. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so hi there. My name is Philippa Haynes from Insight 101, and I help accountants and bookkeepers to stand out. And that basically means to create their brand, story behind their brand, find out what is unique about them, then create all of their story around that, the design, the logo, all of that good stuff. And then if they need it as well, to create their website. So it's really a one-stop shop for helping those accountants and bookkeepers who need a little bit of something extra.
Yep. And so are you focused on personal brands or company brands or a bit of both?
So that's
depending
a
on the situation.
That's a good question. It depends on the situation, to be honest, and what the strategy is behind that business. So bookkeepers tend to be solo business owners. Yep. They can grow, obviously. So I have one client, Penny Allard from Wild Bookkeeping, who started as just one, but we named her business Wild Bookkeeping, and now she has several staff members working for her. But that works just the way that she does it. But I also work for larger firms, and what I try to do there is find out what the essence is of that business, think about the culture and the values and all of that good stuff, and then pour that into the DNA of the brand, the story. So it works both ways, essentially.
Yeah. So I've done some acquisitions in my time.
Yep.
And obviously personal brand can be a bit of a headache when making an acquisition or when someone wants to sell their business. Is that something you discuss, like that longer term longevity of, look, we can do this brand and this is great, this works for you guys today, but are you considering this or that? Or is that part of the conversation?
That is a great conversation. And usually I have that conversation quite early when I engage with new clients. They normally tell me straight away that they are looking for an out in several years' time. And so we start to talk about how that would work for them. I mean, generally, if they're growing their business and they're looking to really develop and then find an out, then we try to ensure that it's not all about them straight away. But we do, the way that I work, and a lot of businesses, large businesses as well, are the same. The DNA of the owner is pumped into the business at the very start, but then it has to be lived by everybody else.
Everyone in the team's got to live those values, those beliefs, that ethos of the business as well. So yeah. Cool. Brilliant. Okay. We are at Festival of Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Yes.
I know you are all over LinkedIn and you go to events and this isn't your first event.
No.
So what are your thoughts of Fab?
I absolutely love it. It's the only show as yet where I've stayed for both days.
Wow. I think that's a testament, because 2-day shows are hard work.
They are.
And the second day is always quieter.
Yep.
And you kind of go, is it worth doing both days?
Yep.
And I know, like, QuickBooks have shrunken their QuickBooks Get Connected days from 2 days to 1 day a couple of years ago, because day 2 was always a challenge. So yeah, the fact that you've stayed is a testament.
I mean, I've stayed really because I think the size of the show is just right for everybody to feel comfortable, relaxed, and actually have time to talk to other people. Sometimes the larger shows, they're exciting and you get something else from them, but you don't have enough time to talk to people because they're always dashing from one end of the hall to the other. They've got other people that they want to talk to. But I think here we've certainly had some quality conversations, and other people have said that to me as well. So that, I think, is really good news.
Very much the feedback of the last 2 days is there's a community feel.
Yeah.
And even like the layout of these stages where actually they're not rows and rows of chairs waiting for you to be spoken to. They are tables and chairs to encourage conversation about what you are listening to.
Totally. And I think that's translated as well to some of the exhibitors here. I've spoken to them and they've said that, in fact, they are so glad that they attended and that they've had much better traction with the people who've walked past.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really good. So they will be thinking about coming back.
Yeah.
Which I think is great news for the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it's been an absolutely fantastic event. So what's your highlight of the event been?
The highlight for me is having my clients on stage and certainly one of them where two of my clients were on stage talking about branding. Now, when you've kind of educated your client and then they go on to educate other people and talk about,
Proud teacher moment.
it's like proud parent, really. And I think that is the merit. Well, that's the success factor, isn't it? Really. So I see that, but also it just measures how far they've come. 3 years ago when I spoke to some of those clients, they would not have dreamed of standing on a stage talking, but they are all incredibly confident now. And I think that comes down to knowing what you're about, knowing your story, what you stand for, and who your clients are. And, you can just talk confidently. And that's what we want.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So there's a lot of events.
Yep.
How do you take action from these events? Do you plan ahead? Do you just turn up and see what happens? Do you have time reserved at the end of the day or the next day or the next week to try and take action? Like, how do you get value from these things?
Right. Okay. So, first of all, I do a little bit of kind of preparation. So I look to see all of the speakers, what I want to go to. And obviously, I like to support some of my clients. So that's, and obviously, if there are any kind of issues which I think are very current for my particular area of expertise, so it's a lot on AI. So I choose those, but I don't try and do too much these days because I think the power is in the milling around, bumping into people, having those conversations. And that's really important to me. But also thinking about when I leave, when I finish a show, I've actually taken notes on my iPhone of all the people that I've spoken to and some of the key points. And so I follow up. And I've actually been listening to a lot of the talks today, taking notes about what is specifically important for me as a brand and marketing person. So I will be using that content for the next couple of weeks in a lot of my social media as well. So I use it in many levels. So the ROI for me is quite high.
That's fantastic. What do you think of the UK accounting event space at the moment? There's a lot of events. They seem to be all becoming their own little brands, which is great.
Yeah.
Do we think there's too many? Do we think they're spread out? Like, when people say accounting and bookkeeping event space, what are your thoughts?
I guess from my perspective, from a sort of marketing, PR, brand perspective, I think the more players, the more competition and the more segmentation. And that's an obvious point. But I think what we're seeing increasingly are things like DAS, which I think is going to be pulling in very, very specific people. And so what we're seeing now is a segmentation which works for those people who have something specific that they're interested in or a specific type of business. That's my first impression. Whether the numbers of people coming to these, the footfall will go down, I suspect that is going to be true because there'll be so much choice that people are able to pick and choose as they like. But I think the emphasis personally will be about having speakers that people haven't heard of before, not doing the same old thing, getting some new ideas in. Because I think with the best will in the world, there are some stories that we hear over and over again. And I think it's really about, certainly Fab have brought in new speakers here, new talent, up and coming talent. And I think that's what people really want. So there's a lovely mix today.
I think we've all learned, haven't we, that there's only so much conversation about MTD anyone can handle.
Yes.
There's only so much, even on AI, AI is important to listen to and understand because it is going to be revolutionary in the same way OCR was. But we don't need every single session to be about it. We need a few interesting takes and then we move on.
And I think there's been a really nice spectrum of content here over the 2 days. So we've had how to edit your video with certain people who are very good on social media. We've had obviously some information about budget, and that's really important for those who absolutely want to be up to the minute and detail. But we've also had a lot of stories told today as well about, how some people actually travel around the world and maintain a business. So I think there certainly is a great mixture and something for everybody, which for me is really important.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, what do you love most about this industry?
So I'm bookkeepers and accountants, and I love the family feel. Everybody just gets on.
Yeah,
I don't think I've known another sector that's quite as friendly and wants to have a conversation and also wants to collaborate.
yeah,
I started in this space because I thought it was a real challenge to get accountants and bookkeepers to understand the strength of brand. Actually, in the last 3 or 4 years, I've noticed that that journey has really accelerated.
yeah.
And I've got a lot of people talking about that now, which is great news for me. But of course, great news for me in terms of my mission, because I just want accountants and bookkeepers to show their worth.
Yeah, fantastic. And what would you change about the industry?
That's a good one. So I'll talk from my area. I think I'd love to see more firms open their eyes a little bit. I think it's very easy to talk about software and apps and integration and AI because that's in many ways a sort of tangible thing, a sort of
Yeah,
widget or whatever. But I think the idea of the softer skills, so communication, marketing, brand, even social media, there are certain pockets of people who are good at that.
yeah,
But I think slightly larger firms are still quite behind the curve. And whilst they are more serious, they have more clients, etc., I think that there is a long tail
yeah,
with a lot of smaller practices
yeah,
nibbling and stealing from the larger
definitely.
ones, so they can't be left behind.
Yeah, yeah, they need to keep up,
They
otherwise they're going to
totally
be in
do.
trouble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, describe your ideal client.
Right. Okay. So my ideal client is somebody who wants to stand out. They understand that they're at a stage where they need to show the real them. They want to have a story so that they can talk about themselves and talk to the right person. So know who their ideal client is.
Yeah,
And that is all about who are they? Who do they enjoy working with? What are their views and attitudes? And how can they sort of find the same people? So I'm looking for businesses, solo business owners, up to about a team of 10,
mm-hmm.
generally not with a marketing department, because I like to be able to come in and sort of spread
Yep,
the kind of the magic there. And that's where I feel that I can make most impact, because my background is actually working for large brands.
right.
So I can bring that sort of value at that point and really make a difference really quickly. So I want to talk to firms who really want to embrace that,
Brilliant.
want to get a brand up and running, don't want to be old fashioned and dusty, want to really start making tracks. And it was interesting, I was talking yesterday to somebody, and I've got quite a few clients who have applied for awards as a result of
Right.
what I've done. They didn't feel able to before.
Yeah,
They had aspiration,
and they've not got the
but they've
confidence in what
now
they're
got the
doing.
confidence to do that. So it's those people who want to go places.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk to people who are very happy, thank you very much,
yeah,
with where they are. So this sort of environment, Fab,
yeah,
and some of the other shows as well, I really want to talk to those people who want to change the industry. They want to be a
fantastic.
part of the excitement.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, what is your one tech stack item that is at the top of your tech stack and you wouldn't be without in your day-to-day work?
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I'm probably one of the least technical
Mhm.
people out there in terms of what I need, but there are certain things that I use all the time.
Yep,
So I have QuickBooks.
yep,
That's really important for me for my invoicing. I use Calendly.
yep,
I would not be without that. Oh, a CRM,
yep,
obviously, which I use to ensure that I'm staying in touch with everybody. But I'm quite focused. I need quite a sort of minimalist
yep,
way of working. So it makes me nimble.
yep.
Yeah.
How do you feel about AI and how it's going to impact on this industry?
Well, I think certainly from what I've heard over the last couple of days, there's excitement there. I think really in the accounting space, there are certain tasks which can be, really made
Yeah,
much simpler. I think from my perspective as a sort of brand marketing person, there's a lot of fear there
yeah,
because, there's copywriting, design, all of those good things, which could quite easily be overtaken.
yeah,
But I think it's one of those where the dial will switch one way and then gradually come back as
yeah,
people realize that actually it's very useful for certain things, but it can't be good for everything. So AI, certainly where I am, will be used in creating the foundation for content.
Yeah.
But then there'll need to be some tailoring
Yes.
top of it.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast pit stop. This is going to be your opportunity to plug anything you want, whether it's you, your website, something you do, a webinar, whatever it is, plug away. Tell the world what you want to tell them.
Okay, so a couple of things actually. So I'd like to tell everybody about our podcast. Yes, we have a podcast too. We've just started, called The Accountant Success Secrets, or AS, as I like to call it. And we have 750 downloads today.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah. And you can get in touch with me, insight101.co.uk.
Brilliant. And where can we find your podcast?
Podcast is on Spotify.
Okay.
And on Apple. And also we're on YouTube as well.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining me for the podcast pit stop here at Ask the Accountant and at the Festival of Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Yep.
We will look forward to seeing and talking to you again in the future.
Yeah. Thanks so much.